is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
two. Two, hello, check. What's up, folks? Hello. Hello, how's it going? That was tasty. There was a Rob eating emote for a while, Kijiji. There was. I think it was taken when I was eating an eclair one day, actually. Just like like one of those. But it didn't stick. It didn't stick, you know? I can deal with a lot of stuff, that emotes or whatever, that are not flattering. This was pushing it for me. The Rob Eats emoji was pushing it, I think. That's what I'm willing to tolerate. I'm enjoying a blueberry muffin and a peach monster. Lovely. I'm actually curious for people. Like, you saw what I just ate just now. What would you call that? Because, like, I've been trying to, like, not spend money. Because, like I said, I got a little decadent on the weekend. So I'm trying to just, like, eat whatever I have in the fridge, like, not spending money on anything. So what I did, I wanted to have some hot dogs, but I don't have any hot dog buns. I just had, like, one brioche bun left. And so I fried up the hot dogs. I cut them in half. And then put the cut up hot dogs, in the brioche bun with pickle and onion and mayo and mustard. What is that? Is that a hot dog sandwich? Hot dog
This is
sandwich?
some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada.
No, I'm gonna have to
I was
repeat it.
turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Now I'm going to have to repeat that whole thing. I'm going to have to redo that whole spiel. Hello, Lucid. Thanks so much for the raid. I really appreciate it. I don't smell. I smell good, actually. I just took a shower. Hot dogs or sandwiches and also tacos. Okay, here's the question. Like I said, okay, I went a little decadent on the weekend. I spent a little too much money on, like, restaurant
You can count
food.
on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you
So
through
I'm
all
just
this.
eating the stuff that I had
07.
in the fridge, okay? And I wanted some hot dogs, but I didn't have any hot dog buns. All I had was like a brioche style, like, hamburger bun. So I fried up the hot dogs. I cut them in half and then put the cut up hot dogs in a hamburger style brioche with pickle, onion, mayo, mustard, and American cheese. So what is that? What is that I just ate? Was that a hot dog sandwich? Is it a hot dog burger? What is it? I don't know. It was really good, I'll tell you that much. The hot dog is not fundamentally changed, it's just a different configuration of hot dog. Doesn't it need to be like a full sausage, like, in a bun, though? You know, there's something about that. The form of the true self exists in the false self, exactly. What it was depends on whether the pickles were sweet. They were not sweet. They were garlic dill. Garlic dill. You know, whatever it was tremendous, though. And I was just going to say, Baldwin's Ghost, there's nothing like munching on a delicious hot dog and washing it down with an ice cold, crisp Diet Coke. That's just one of life's little simple pleasures. That's one of life's little simple pleasures. I think one of the greatest products ever created, Diet Coke. Love a crisp Diet Coke. Fantastic. Man. Very enjoyable, especially after that hot dog sandwich that I just had. Capitalism did one good thing. Sometimes you do have to hand it, okay? And that's why, after the revolution, I've discussed this many times,
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
we're going to nationalize the Diet Coke formula, okay? We're going to nationalize that. That's for the people. Diet Coke is for the people. I've been a cherry Pepsi Zero kick. Those are actually very good as well. I don't have a huge amount of brand loyalty. I prefer Diet Coke. I will absolutely enjoy a cherry Pepsi Zero, though. That sounds lovely, honestly. It's Lodane thought, that's right. I'm going to nationalize everything. Nationalize the McDonald's, whatever other Burger King, nationalize all that stuff. We should not be letting these private entities control these delicious recipes. Do the opposite of what Gorbachev did. Exactly. Yeah. Coke, McDonald's, and Walmart are my shtick. Don't deny me the glory of the Chaos Zone. It's our shtick, okay? This is our shtick. Fast food workers with a pension and benefits, one can dream. Not only is working at a fast food restaurant an important job, it's a deeply important job in our society, it's also really hard. It's really hard work. You should be able to get a job at McDonald's or Burger King or whatever and have a decent paycheck, vacation time, healthcare, sick days. It's one of the most important jobs in our society. Sorry, I just wanted to say thank you to Quiet 185 for the 20 months of Tier 1. Thank you, Quiet 1. And thanks, Amazing Bird Show, as well, for the 33 months of Prime. Very much appreciated. Thank you. I make literally 11 times what I did at fast food. Fast food is the hardest job I ever had. That's the absurd thing when people say, like, well, just those are supposed to be like entry-level jobs. Anyone can do them. No, not anyone can do them. It's extremely thankless and really difficult. The idea that those jobs, we pay the people for these corporations that make billions and billions of dollars, just obscene amounts of profits, and pay like basically starvation wages to their employees. This is a connected to the conversation we were having yesterday about the delivery apps, right? There's all the discourse about delivery apps. Same thing, though. Those apps could be a vital public service. I don't think we need to legitimize every single person that goes online and talks about how they have too much, their ADHD is too bad that they can't go to the grocery store. I don't really agree with that. Nevertheless, though, I think these delivery apps can be a really vital service for a lot of people, and that should just be a good job. I can't even look at a frozen food box. Prior to the invention of DoorDash, ADHD people couldn't do anything at all. They were just dying in their homes. Thankfully, they've been saved by this. But seriously, though, it's an important job. It should be a vital service for a lot of people. You should be able to go and turn DoorDash into just the post office. You should be able to do that work, which is a hard job and an important job, and get a decent salary, get vacation time, get healthcare, get a pension, all that shit. These jobs are really important. They're hard jobs, and they're really important, and you get paid the least for doing these jobs. I go into a fugue state in the store. The thing that made me order groceries is literally becoming more physically disabled. Like your broken ankle. Yeah, and that's totally understandable. Like I was saying yesterday, I'm in physical pain a lot of the time, and often I just suck it up and go and walk around in pain. And I don't think that's really something that's not a recommended way of going through life. I don't think it's really a good thing to do. But yes. I would have been fucked without delivery, and I'm mentally really hard on people that use them just because their lifestyle allows it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm kind of indifferent about it. I prefer to just go to the grocery store if I can. Like, that's what I don't get. We're going back to, we were having this discourse yesterday, but we got new people joining, so it's worth talking about it again. But, Um, you know, like it's an important job. I don't judge people for using these kinds of apps. But what I don't get though is people that use the apps, they want to be like congratulated for it. Like, please tell me I'm still a good person. Or you're going to use these apps and then criticize the person that's like doing the grocery shopping. Like, that's what I was saying yesterday. I prefer doing my own grocery shopping because I go to the store and I see what's on sale and I get groceries depending on what's there, and I change my mind about what I'm going to do. I don't want to rely on some person making these decisions for me. But like, if you do have to order groceries, you're getting it from someone that's like needs to hit a certain number of deliveries in order to even make a basic living from doing it. So you can't order the groceries and then also complain about, oh, I didn't get this product. You got this instead of this. You made a mistake. It's like, no, they're busting their ass trying to do as many deliveries as humanly possible so they can earn a basic living. At that point, if you do have to use the apps, go for it. But don't then complain about the person on the other end of it. You know, if it's really physically impossible for you to do groceries, then it's like you're going to have to make some kind of concessions there if you're relying on these kinds of services. I got the blue juice. I ordered the light blue. I mean, this is the thing. You can't use the services and complain about it and also still want to be like told by people online that you're like a good person, because there's no possible way that you can physically do these things yourself. The thing we need is not to have like these alienated services, but oh my God, what if we had a way of organizing our neighborhoods in a way that didn't just descend into next door? What if you just had somebody on your block who was the designated grocery getter delivery guy, but that person basically gets paid a living wage and everyone pays in based on that? Yeah, I mean, that's like an interesting kind of like anarcho way of doing that. Just the reason that falls apart though is because not every neighborhood is going to have different values and different people are going to want to do different things. That's why I'm a statist when it comes to this. I think you need the state saying, here is this service. If you want to get a job for this delivery service, you can get one. We need plenty of people doing this work. And if you get a job doing this, you can get a decent salary and benefits and everything like that. I think when you start talking about this kind of community organizing, it's going to vary depending on each circumstance and each neighborhood and each community. I think there needs to be a strong, nationalized, planned economy where these jobs are a big part of it. And like this work, they need people. They need people doing this kind of work. If the tyranny of rent and such is removed, I'll gladly work for my community. Well, that's another thing too. It's like if people's economics needs are met, you can spend more time just helping out in your community and helping people. Just get a robot to do it so no one can afford the service. Well, that's the absurd thing about our future, is that we're going to get robots to do this work, but we're still going to be paying. You know, it's still going to be unaffordable. The idea, if robots could do it, then they should just deliver stuff for us. You know, we're automating all this work, but we're not actually like passing down the savings to the people at the other end. We're passing down the savings up the chain to the people that own the robots. Anyway, my hot dog sandwich was good, and we should nationalize the Diet Coke formula. I think that's how that got started. Because of talking about the cool, crisp, refreshing Diet Coke. It's okay, Raven, you're good. we have to pay for the R&D the corporate overloads put in to automate the people out of work. That's right. We're going to put in all the 5G towers and the fucking magnet rails and stuff to automate everything, and that's going to be paid with public funds. And then it's all going to be private. All the profits are going to be privatized. Nationalize everything, central planning. That's the way you do it. That's the way we do it. Could not agree more. How was the Lucid Fox stream today? We should take a look at that bridge collapse video in Baltimore is absolutely insane. And it's, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that it's like getting all the conspiracy people out, all like the right. It's like, what is it? Was it a cyber attack? Is it DEI? You know, all these people are kind of making, it looks deliberate. Like all the bridge and terrorism experts are coming out. It was open borders. It was wokeness. Yeah. It looks deliberate. It's like, well, I don't know. Like you can see on the clip. And then on the other hand, there's people saying this is America's crumbling infrastructure. I'm sure there's elements of that. I'm not going to sit around and pretend to be a bridge expert. I do think it is possible that this was just a mistake. It looked like that. And what apparently was going on with this boat is that it was losing power. You can see it losing power and struggling to get turned back on. And it's like, you can't just stop a gigantic boat on a dime. And like, no matter what, America does have horrific crumbling infrastructure, obviously, but I'm not certain that there's a lot of bridges that are just going to like be totally fine when a gigantic boat slams into like its main support structure, you know? I would simply build boat resistant bridges. A lot of boat experts coming out of the woodwork. A lot of boat experts, both terrorism, cyber attack, DEI, wokeness, and bridge infrastructure experts weighing in on this. Yeah, and of course, like Baltimore, like every city, like it does have infrastructure issues. Like it's not to say that that's not a problem. I'm not sure that that's the cause of this problem. This very well may have just been some tragic accident. You know? I don't think sometimes the simplest explanation is the most easy one. Believe me, you all know I'm a conspiracy guy. I love asking questions like this. I love being conspiratorial. This may very well have just been an accident where a boat accidentally crashed into a bridge, though. Like that kind of thing does happen. Play the JFK music. Blaming it on COVID, bosses being unable to find good employees these days, and the open border also has some very well-informed, healthy brains out there. Absolutely. Absolutely. We can look at the footage though. It's absolutely crazy. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I'm just finding the clip. There's like a bunch of different clips of it. It is just crazy footage, like no matter how you want to, no matter what conspiracy angle you want to go with. You can see the cars going across it too. Apparently there were construction workers as well. So you see it loses power. The boat loses power. See the lights blinking on and off. And then God, that was like, okay, that was sped up, obviously. I don't think it quite went down like that. Jesus. I think so. Yeah, there was construction crews on there. I thought I read somewhere that they were able to reroute some of the traffic because they were getting like distress calls from the boat. But when you look at that clip, you can still see cars driving across it. I'm like, look at this fucking... Like, first of all, it's crazy that this has become like one of the main talking points on Twitter. That Elon Musk totally encourages this whole thing about DEI. Like now it's no longer critical race theory wokeness. Now DEI is the big thing. And now they're saying this is Baltimore's DEI mayor commenting on the collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge. Like, and Baltimore is like majority black. The idea that there's a black mayor, that's all the evidence that these people need. That's the reason. Or Boeing as well. Boeing, all the problems that Boeing's been having. Oh, it's because there's black pilots and black airline mechanics. And Baltimore has a black mayor. That's why this stuff is happening. Like, this is like, these are the accounts that Elon Musk interacts with. And he talked to Don Lemon the other day and was like, racism doesn't exist anymore. Get over it. And like Elon Musk and people that he interacts with on his platform are like, every single problem is because there's black people involved in education, in infrastructure, Boeing and the planes not working anymore. It's all because they're just like, and this is the same argument that's been going on for decades about affirmative action and stuff. It's just because there's black people involved in the political leadership, in the leadership of these companies, in the pilots and mechanics that work in these companies.
Everyone, this is a unthinkable tragedy. We have to first and foremost pray for all of those who are impacted, those families. Pray for our first responders and thank them, all of them working together, city, state, local, to make sure that we, everyone.
This is the clip that this account, I am yes, you are no, with 275,000 followers, of just the black mayor of Baltimore being like, this is a tragedy. We should all think about the people that are harmed. And they're like, wow. Oh, wow. Need I say more? Need I say more? It's like, what the fuck? What are they even seeing? No, we can speculate on it. It's literally just like black people. According to these people, who again, Elon Musk interacts with these accounts and boosts this exact kind of talking point. Anytime a black person or a person of color or any kind of like racial minority or sexual minority or women even, if they're included in anything, if anything is not being run exclusively by white men, that's why there's problems. That's why infrastructure is not working. That's why our society has problems. It's pure. It's like just extremely racist. Yeah, it's just open white supremacy. Like, it's crazy.
Let me also get your take on what's going on in terms of world affairs. The White House has issued a statement on this saying that there's no indication of a nefarious intent in the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. The ship involved in the collapse of the bridge is 948 feet long, called the Dolly, a Singaporean flagged container. But of course, you've been talking a lot about the potential for wrongdoing or potential for foul play given the wide open border. That is why you have been so adamant. Why have the Republicans had such a hard time securing this border? The president says he's not going to take his executive action. You know that.
Well, we all
like, oh my God. This is about securing the border. This is about Joe Brandon's wide open border policies. There's the problem. Baltimore has a black mayor. Biden's got the borders wide open. That's the issue.
Together, we often say that it takes 60 votes to pass anything in the Senate, and so Republicans have to stand together and say, look, we're not going to do anything else unless we secure the border.
What the fuck? And I'm sorry for looking. It's Aaron Rupar. You know, sometimes he compiles videos that might be important, but he's basically just like a nerd who works for the Democratic Party. It was funny because I saw him complaining the other day about like someone not calling him a journalist. And it's like, Aaron, you're not a journalist. Sometimes it's valuable to have these right-wing news clips, but like, let's not pretend that Aaron Rupar is an actual journalist.
Here.
Yeah, you'll hear that. I'm sure you'll hear the Democrats have a press release and conference somewhere today or tomorrow about the need for $1 trillion infrastructure program after all the other ones. And that's my question to you. It seems like we do have these infrastructure bills, lots of money in it. I mean, I've been under bridges. They're horrible to look at. You look and you see rust. If you drive over bridges, you see things you are like, am I going to make it over this? The bridges are definitely old. The roads are old. But why, after all
That's true, but it did get hit by a giant boat,
do we still have really old bridges and really old roads?
It's not really necessarily about being really old.
We're not spending it on roads and bridges.
Right.
Look at the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill that was done a couple of years ago that the left hails as this massive success, but it was mostly Green New Deal. Actually, in that bill, $110 billion went to surface transportation, which is roads and bridges, and of that $110 billion,
Biden passed the
$70 billion
Green
went to
New
public
Deal. That's why.
transportation, leaving only $40 billion for traditional roads.
That's
and
why
bridges
this stuff's
that you and
happening.
I think about. And if you live along the coast or you live near water, you know that our bridges are rusting out. You know that we have many, many bridges that have to be replaced and upgraded. And you know it's probably about $1 billion a bridge every time. And so I look at South Carolina when the infrastructure bill came through, we really only got $1 billion more than we otherwise would have over a 5-year period. I can barely build a bridge in my district for $1 billion. That's just one district. So we have to be smarter. You look at the spending bill we did on Friday, all the waste that's in there, things that the government should not be paying for when it could be going to things that are the government's purpose, just like this. Here.
All kinds of spin. Again, it's like, and it's using this to talk about a real issue, which is that, yes, America has like crumbling infrastructure because of the lack of investment in these things for decades. That doesn't mean that has anything to do with with a boat crashing into like the main support structure of this bridge and knocking it over. The GOP watered down the infrastructure bill, then blame it on Joe Brandon when shit goes wrong. Not advocating for Dems but still. I mean, exactly. I mean, it's if Joe Brandon personally went out and signed some kind of deal that like automatically got the federal government to provide all the funds for updating all this infrastructure, these motherfuckers would be the first people complaining about it. They'd be complaining about the government overreach and like the inefficient government doing what the private sector should be doing. And even if Biden did do that, it would probably be like giving tax incentives to the private sector to do these things. So these exact people would not only be opposed to that, but they would lie about the contents of it. Maybe it's the size of the boats now. I'm betting cargo ships weren't that large and had that much inertia back when the bridge was built. I'm sure that's part of it. Again, I'm not going to pretend to be either a boat expert or a bridge expert. We start talking about this, and I start thinking like, well, maybe, perhaps, like I don't know. I'm not going to pretend that I know. This is why I know you can trust me, because when I'm talking out of my ass, I'm going to openly admit that to each and every one of you. Yeah, with older technology, like maybe there's less propensity to like lose power and have navigation errors like that. Perhaps that's a part of it, you know? The larger transportation hauls that are taking place in contributing to the mass or the inability to stop and slow down, maybe. It just seems like perhaps that's an element of it, but this just seems to be like kind of a freak tragic accident. Okay, moist outlet. All right. Okay. And what else is there? It was caused by wokeness. It was caused by DEI. It was caused by open borders. It was Joe Brandon's Green New Deal infrastructure program. You know. And then you get the real conspiracy shit. The real conspiracy stuff. So you got Andrew Tate. Alex Jones retweeting Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate say that ship was cyber attacked. Lights go off and it deliberately steers towards the bridge supports. Foreign agents of the USA attack digital infrastructures. Nothing is safe. Black Swan event imminent. And Alex Jones says, looks deliberate to me. A cyber attack's probable. World War III's already started. This seems like a classic cyber attack to me. Yeah. A former kickboxer, sex trafficking, like manosphere influencer. This looks like a classic cyber attack. Definitely. America's enemies are just like, we must destroy a bridge in Baltimore. This is the top target for whoever, whether it was Russia or China or whoever it was. We must attack this Baltimore bridge. Took over the cargo ships with the Da Vinci virus. Yeah, everyone's got a healthy mind, healthy brain, healthy brains all around. I do think that everyone is like really primed for what is this Black Swan event? I've heard other people talking about this as well. This Black Swan event. This is becoming like a meme. A black swan event is an unpredictable event that is beyond what is normally expected from a situation and that has potentially severe consequences. Black swan events are characterized by their extreme rarity, severe impact, and the widespread insistence that they were obvious in hindsight. I've seen a number of people talking about this. This is becoming like a meme. And I do think we are kind of like poised. Yeah, COVID is an example of that for sure. I think we're all poised for the eventual moment that something fucking crazy is going to happen. You know? And maybe this won't even come, but I feel like we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting, like there's going to be a 9/11 too. And I think people do kind of subconsciously expect that, including me. You know? Whether it's some Ukrainian guys or there's some other kind of blowback. I think we're all kind of primed to be expecting this moment. Because we also know if such a moment does come, if there is some kind of a serious terror attack or some kind of black swan event or false flag or whatever you want to refer to it, it will completely destroy whatever semblance of sanity that exists in our Western society. You know? Well, like, Ludin, you can talk about the OKC bombing as a significant terror attack, obviously, but correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't really, like, impact American society in the same way, in the way that 9/11 led to, like, the Patriot Act and the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq and ISIS and all these, like, crazy repercussions. Like, there's all kinds of, we can and should talk about the Oklahoma City bombing and its connections to white supremacist terror groups or, like, whoever else was involved with that. But I'm kind of talking about an event. I'm talking about 9/11 because of the massive repercussions that it had for like the West in general. The way 9/11 kind of kickstarted the decline of the West, really. Like that's really like 9/11 was the event that separated that end of history era from wherever we are now. Certainly not. It might be the end of history, but not in the way that it was described before. You know what I mean? But I think we're all kind of subconsciously waiting for that next time, that next event. I'm sure the 20 to 30% of Ukrainian arms that went missing will never show up anywhere else. Well, the thing is, time for WizBiz, there's never been any problem in the past when we've armed and trained and funded these extremist groups in order to destabilize and fight Russians, fight and kill Russians. There's never been any consequences or blowback to any of that before in the past, so I don't see why we'd be thinking that there was some now, you know? History has shown us there's never any repercussions for doing that. But this is it. I think we're all kind of like subconsciously waiting for this moment to come. It'll be pretty funny if the ISIS guys in Moscow had some of those guns. And I mean, Russia's already accusing them of that. Putin is basically blaming Ukraine. And I think there's totally legitimate reasons to speculate on that. I don't know if there's been anything proven. I honestly think the Moscow attack could be the tripwire. It could be. Like, I don't know if it's just the latest domino to fall or if it's the event that really gets us to the next stage of chaos and disaster. It very well could be. That's one reason, like, when we talk about that, you had those people, like, accusing Russia of doing a false flag. Oh, it's a false flag. This is how Putin cements his power, and this is how they do this. But it's like, do they need a false flag to do that? That's kind of the basic question. It's not like I think Russia's above any engaging in the world in this way or doing things like that, but like Putin was just reelected. You know, they've been carrying out this war in Ukraine for the last 2 years. They've proven themselves to be like sanction proof. They've mobilized their society to support this like military conflict. What is the false flag for? You know, what's the reason? You know what I mean? It's not saying like, oh, they would never do this. Putin, he would never do this. Russia would never do anything like that. But like, you have to give me a compelling reason for why. Or why that would be necessary for Russia to do a false flag attack where they murdered their own civilians. He literally just won re-election. Like we talked about before, whether you like Putin or not, it's not hard to understand why he has popularity and legitimacy in Russia. It's really not hard to understand. Said it on Discord, but also this is the plot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, like almost to the letter. Yeah, no, so I don't really understand that aspect of it. But it's interesting you see this conversation about this Black Swan event coming from the right, and I've seen it coming from other people as well. And I in a way, I kind of get why people are kind of primed for this kind of event to happen. I think we're all just kind of waiting for it. I don't think that this boat situation, this bridge collapse, it just seems like a total freak accident, a real tragedy. I don't think that's what it is, but I understand like why I think certain people are very primed for that to happen. People are scared. And just try to imagine how fucked things will get if that moment does come. If there is a 9/11 Azov edition or whoever, you know? Think about how fucking crazy our entire society went last time. It's hard to imagine, I think, how that would like respond. I think we may be in for more of a death of 1,000 cuts instead of a big moment. Yeah, and like that's what I mean, Daka, dude. Maybe the big moment passed already. Maybe the big moment was 20 years ago, and we're still just like, that's what started the decline, and the snowball started to pick up steam and grow in size, and we're just like somewhere midway down the hill. Like, you know, that could be it too. Saudi did our last one and we went to Iraq and Afghanistan. Ukraine does this one. Where do we go from then? I mean, yeah, it's going to be our ruling class wants war with Russia and China. So whatever event, if such a black swan event were to happen, that would be where we would end up, because that's what our ruling class wants. Just like our ruling class wanted to go back into Iraq and they wanted to secure the Middle East in this way and turn Iraq into some kind of beautiful Western-style liberal democracy with a massive military presence and military base. You know, big protests happening right now in Egypt and Jordan as well. Like that's something I speculated with Vijay Prashad the other day, talking about the last Arab Spring and the way that was partially inspired by U.S. imperialism and militarism in the Middle East, including Iraq, and these like Gulf state regimes' complicity in that. And I'm wondering if their complicity in genocide in Palestine could lead to the same kind of thing. And we're starting to see possibly the early stages of that already. There's massive protests happening already in some of these like American client states. We're living in pretty interesting times, though, aren't we? Pretty interesting times. I wonder if there's more weird conspiracy stuff.
Boston, 25 years in the business. I did a small bridge up in Lowell, Mass. over the Merrimack River. That took a year. I mean, you've got to go down and inspect. Just taking that steel out of the water is going to take weeks. They're not even mobilizing for that yet. Then you've got to inspect
Let's
the
tune
foundation
into this.
that
Let's see
was
if we can get to the
resting on
truth.
underwater. And if that concrete was damaged, you're going to have to re-pour that, which means you got to coffer dam around it and drain the water so guys can get in there and place rebar and pour
That's
concrete
insane
and give it minimal cure time. Meantime, that's got to go out to bid by a qualified bridge contractor. okay, with all the insurance and the qualified workforce and everything else, these jobs are only done by big union contractors in that jurisdiction. And then it's got to be awarded.
Baldwin, the Prashad thing is on the VOD, and I'm going to put it on YouTube. I have the video. I just need to upload it.
Purchase the steel, forge every member. It's going to have to be tested for tensile strength, et cetera, produced, inspected, shipped on site. Then the process begins. You got the bridge deck. Then you've got the trestle work above it. Then you've got the suspension
I don't have this
cables
bridge
that
back
hold
up
the
in
bridge
May,
deck
for
up
sure.
for the live load and the dead load. Every phase has to be inspected. And
It would be
then
starting to be
once that's all
rebuilt
done,
right
the bridge
now.
will reopen. You're talking at least a year or two. I'm just telling you.
Wow, so I was just guesstimating at least 6 months. You're saying a year or two.
Dude, it's not even going out to bid yet. They haven't even removed the old stuff out of the water. You can't reuse any of that steel.
No,
This is public safety. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. I can tell you they're going to tear it all out. I mean, you're right. I mean, it's crazy just what it takes. What's that whole science of how they put a container around it, then they drain the water, and then they have to?
Well, you guys will have to get down in there. You'll have to.
Thank you, Alex.
First of all, union pile drivers will have to come in and coffer dam around it. They drive sheathing into the bedrock and create a watertight seal, and then pumps have to go in and drain the water so men can safely get down there and work and place the rebar. And then the concrete would have to be poured. Then you need to give it minimal curing time before it can accept.
You know the
load.
answer, though. We just need to send the transgenders. They're our magic power. You keep saying men. Men don't do anything. Only transgenders. Can't we have them do it? Can't they wave a magic
What the fuck's
wand?
Alex Jones talking about?
Dude, I
Alex.
worked on that bridge I was telling you about. I was on one point.
What does that have to do with anything, sir?
Okay, 500
Why are you
volts
bringing
in
this
one
up,
point.
man?
I mean, you're talking.
Why are you thinking about this?
This is.
You
I just want
fucking
people to understand.
dumbass.
This is rocket science. Building bridges of this modern type is rocket science.
Alex, every member of that bridge, there's thousands. They have to all.
Oh my
you're gonna have to
God.
put that out to
It's
bid.
so
They
weird
have
to just be
forged
thinking about
and
trans people at
inspected
all
and
times.
shipped there and then installed.
Just at all times.
This is not going to happen overnight, dude. You're talking a year or two. I could be wrong. Mark my. Hopefully,
Thinking
you'll
about
still
what's
be
going
around
on with people's
live a year or
genitals.
two.
That's really
I
like
think you're,
at
I
any
think you're
subject.
right.
Let's
I
pivot
just didn't
back
want
to
sound
this.
alarmist. I was thinking a couple of years. From
I agree, a
I've seen them
trans
build
comrade could
bridges
do
here
this in 6
Texas that are
weeks, no
small,
problem.
And it takes them 2 years.
Put a team of
it's
trans
just
people on
standard.
there.
I
They're
mean,
going to fix this bridge right
a
away.
union contractor is not going to just jump out there and do it. Everything, you have daily safety meetings. Guys are in harnesses. You're going to have to, that has to be done safely. We take our lives, we value our lives as well. I mean, you're not.
Knowing about bridges like this, how many people guesstimate do you think died?
What do you mean? Building them?
No. I mean, today when this big barge hit it, they still haven't given any numbers. We don't know.
It depends on how many cars were on it when it happened. I mean, it went down in about 4 or 5 seconds. Like I was explaining earlier, you got live load, dead load. I just show people the dead load is the weight of the bridge itself. All the members and the concrete they're going to have to pour on the bridge deck and everything else that you drive on. The dead load means the weight of the bridge itself. The live load also has to be calculated in by engineers is the traffic.
This is
and
really the
people that move
discourse
back and
that
forth
America
constantly 24
needs.
hours a day on that bridge that varies. Wind.
These are the dangerous
wind will move the
ideas that
bridge
this man
side
has
to
been
side.
banned
There's
for.
a lot that goes in.
No, I understand. Well, you're an amazing
Silenced
caller.
and canceled.
In closing, we got to go to break. We'll come right back with all the other callers. But real quick, what do you? I mean,
Also,
I know
this
you're
guy has a
bridge
better
boat
stance
guy,
on
but
Palestine than
what do you
most
think
mainstream
of this?
liberals.
I mean, a hack attack.
Most people,
an accident?
Alex Jones,
Who knows?
this man that we're looking at
I
now,
have no idea,
this
but I mean,
deeply
you don't see
insane
things like
person,
this happen ever. I
has
mean,
a better stance on
this thing,
Palestine than the
when he
average
hit
New York
that
Times reader.
Here, that holds up that main.
That's good.
That main the columns that
That's
hold
good,
that
I
bridge up.
think.
He did so much damage. I mean, you've seen how the whole thing fell. It looked like it was made of pixie sticks. Did you see how quick it fell?
Well,
The whole
ships
thing
are so heavy, it's an unstoppable force, basically. All right. Well, God bless you and be safe. Thank you so much. Wow, amazing callers. Thank you, sir. All right, I'm going to move quick when we come back. These are amazing callers. This is a tragedy. And it's so fascinating how complex civilization is. And the globalists just think they'll just screw it all up and dumb everybody down and it'll keep going. But that's what all the top experts have told them. No, you're going to kill yourselves in the process. Stop destroying civilization.
I think the U.S. economy is about to hit the skids, and
Yeah,
Russia
this idea that
and
we
the
just
BRICS
don't have civil engineers anymore. This is just some kind of like lost art. We just don't have people that do it anymore. We just built all the bridges in the past, and now no one knows how to do it. We're just like, what? What about gender? Oh, that's all I know about now. We don't teach bridge building anymore. We don't teach engineering. You go to bridge building school, and they're just telling you about gender the whole time. Every single bit of school, and information that you get. It's all just gender ideology. It's replaced all our knowledge, science, physics, mathematics, computers, engineering. Nope. It's just it's entirely gender ideology now. Every school, we're not talking about this enough. Every school, mandatory 8 hours per day gender study. Exactly. When I got my ENG, they made me swear allegiance to woke. That's right. We used to learn about the Transcontinental Railroad. Now it's just trans. Exactly. Why couldn't a trans person be either a construction worker or a civil engineer? Like, what? That makes no sense at all. Like, fuck. What is this guy even talking about? Absurd. What did that have to do with the bridge collapse? It's a great question. That is a great question. Trans-Siberian Orchestra is trying to destroy Christmas. Trans people can only have one job, professional protester, and they're very good at it. Now it's important. I only do dental meditation because I hate trans and sin. Jesus. Well, I don't know how much more we need to talk about this. It's crazy footage. It was a terrible tragedy. I think it's interesting to look at what right-wing people are saying about this, from the Fox News conservative crew, the Newsmax crazier kooks, and you have the Alex Jones spectrum as well. Turning what the whole spectrum of right-wing kooks and weirdos are speculating about this. Oh, I'm sure Q is popping off. Absolutely. Perfect, Alex Jones. Thank you, Baldwin. It's my one impression that I think I'm pretty good at. Civil engineering in the USA, there's a little bit of truth in that, because a lot of U.S. cities have privatized their engineering departments, and their consultants and contractors don't do as good a work as the city civil engineers used to in the 50s and 60s because capitalism. Well, I think that's a great example of the way that these capitalist tendencies have contributed to this decline, whether it's in the infrastructure not being fixed, or whether it's into the decline in the ability to have this kind of civil engineering, because it's been privatized and because it's been outsourced, and because in the neoliberal era we've determined that the public, the state, can't be in charge of any of this stuff, and it's been outsourced to these private corporations and consultants and whoever else who don't do as good of a job because they're interested in returning profits to shareholders and not doing a good job. Yeah, all the privatization, all the deregulation, that is all a result of conservative economic policies. Before and after. That's crazy. Crazy. Yeah, that's it. And then when this stuff happens, these are all direct results of conservative economic policies. Deregulation, deindustrialization, all of this stuff. Privatization. And then these same people that have championed all of these policies for decades are sitting around and looking at the result of the world that they fought for, that they built. And they're like, black people. This is because of black people and trans people. That's the problem. That's the problem. Like, this is you wanted this, you know? This is what you wanted. This is the world that you wanted. You fought for this. And now they got what they wanted, and they're still fucking complaining because obviously it's a disaster. Obviously it's a disaster, and they're blaming everyone except themselves. It's so childish. It's because of wokeness. It's because of trans people. It's because of black people that this happened. Like, it's just so stupid. Can't take yes for an answer. This is the world. This is the beautiful, free market, privatized, deregulated, commodified world that you fought for. This is what happens. This is what happens, Larry. This is what happens. It's frustrating, right? It's really frustrating. They got everything that they wanted. They got everything that they wanted, and they blame socialism, they blame immigrants, they blame diversity, they blame gender ideology. You know, it's really pathetic people. So move on to talking about some other stuff soon. I am later on tonight, actually, for the Insurgents podcast, talking to Lauren from the Batting Around podcast. One of our very favorite posters, Lauren, is going to be joining me on the Insurgents podcast. We're going to talk about this Shohei Ohtani thing and the whole like sports betting culture, and maybe a little bit about this stuff as well. That's going to be fun. Later on tonight, I'm going to see Dune 2 again. I'm going to round 2 of Dune 2. I'm going to see Dune 2 again with Nashua and Paris Marx. We're going to go see that. But it's like I told you before the whole saga, when I saw Dune 2 the first time, very, very tired. Very, very tired. And I saw the 8 p.m. showing. By about 8:20, I was struggling to stay awake. The whole last 90 minutes of the film, I was just struggling to stay awake. And now I'm going to the one at 9:45. I'm going to the 9:45 viewing. I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna definitely drink an energy drink before I go in. I don't want to be going through this again. I do not want to go through this again because I was trying to enjoy the movie. I really like the whole last part. I barely remember it because I was like, what is this when your body does this as well? It's so stupid. Like when I want to sleep, then of course I can't. But when I'm just like struggling, when I'm like, stay awake, body. And your body's just like, no, fuck you. We're sleeping now. We're going to sleep in this movie theater next to a stranger. How about that? How about that? Falling asleep 20 minutes into a movie is peak dad behavior. It is, for sure. I mean, I've been there, obviously. No, I don't think I will. But, oh man. Anyway, I'm hoping I can make it through. I'm hoping I can make it through. I should be fine. In an hour into this stream, I guess I'll remind folks that if you can, to please subscribe to this program. I'm trying to, as you know, in order to do this show each and every day, that some of you seem to enjoy for whatever reason. As you know, the only way I'm able to do this show every day, folks, is if we make the little number at the bottom of the screen go up. The little number must go up every single day. That's how Twitch works. I wish it wasn't this way, but it is. I'm forced to do this. I'm forced to turn myself into a Twitch subscription salesman every day in order to try and make a small living from doing this show on this platform. So if you can, please do subscribe. It really helps. You can. It's $5. It's $5 per month. It's, of course, if you have an Amazon Prime account, free. You can transition your.
You can count on me. You're gonna have
Twitch,
good old Rob to
your
talk
Amazon
you through all
Prime
this.
account into a Twitch Prime sub, totally free of charge. You can gift subscriptions.
You can count on me. You're gonna have
like
good
our
old
friend
Rob
Risk
to
Inverse.
talk you
Risk
through all
Inverse,
this.
thank you so much for the 3 gifted subs. I appreciate
you
that
can
a
count
lot.
on me. You're gonna have
Thank
good
you.
old Rob to talk you through all this.
What is with the alerts? The alerts are like broken here.
You can count on me.
And of course,
You're gonna
if
have good
you
old Rob to talk you
if you
through all
do
this.
gift up to upon gifting 5 subscriptions and above, instantly rockets you right up to the tip top of the elite tier of the Friendship Triangle system. That's Twitch's only 2-dimensional triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down clout tiered reward system. Over here apologizing for doing your job. That's some Canadian shit if I've ever seen it. Maybe, I guess so. I hate this, you know? I don't like doing it. I like doing this show. I like talking with you and hanging out and interviewing people and talking about important subjects and having important discussions and putting on a show that people tune into. They find it entertaining or informative or whatever. I love doing that. What I don't like is every single day trying to like convince people to give me money to do the show. I don't enjoy that. I don't like it. I imagine it's the probably least entertaining part of each program, you know? The point where I'm trying to like get people to pay money to support the show, but I just have to do it. I must do it or else I can't do the show. That's just how it works. So if you can, please do subscribe. Really trying to get those to hit that sub goal each and every day. And only a mere minor 30 subs away already. So that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. A mere 30 subs away. So yeah, if you can, please do. Please do help me keep this show on the air. The only way that I can do the show, folks. So if you can, help me out and subscribe to the program. I got plenty of more interesting stuff to talk about for the rest of the day. Plenty more important conversations to come. Yeah, Diego, that'll be cool. It's actually just going to be me and Lauren talking because Jordan's quite busy right now. So I'm doing another solo episode. But yeah, I love Lauren. Been following her for years now.
You can count on me.
Really
You're gonna have good old Rob to talk
person.
you through all this.
And I think we'll be really good to talk about this whole like Shohei Ohtani and Jonte Porter. Of course, the Raptors are involved in this ongoing kind of developing sports scandal as well. So plenty to get into. And thank you, Diego, for the gifted sub. Yep. Always take the under 2.5 points for Porter. I mean, Dagadoon, it's sad because Jonte Porter was a great story. You know, his brother is a rotation player for the Nuggets. Jonte, I think, has dealt with some major injury issues. I think both of his knees have had like major issues. He really fought and grinded hard to get back into the league and get a shot, and he's got a chance to play this year. It's been like a really kind of inspiring story. And now it's just and he's betting against himself. If proven true. These are just allegations based on suspicious behavior of him coming out of games with injuries on nights when he was, I think, one of the top one of the top like prop bets. But this is what it comes down to, Fresh Brew. It's like we've not only legalized or loosened up gambling laws around sports betting, it's completely taken over sports culture. The whole gambling part of it. It's a central, integral part of sports culture. And now you see it on ESPN, or you see it on any other major sports broadcast. The Super Bowl. It's like a central part of the American economy, sports betting right now. And the idea that that's not going to trickle down to the actual players and people that are playing these games with billions of dollars on the line is delusional. You know? It was central in the 30s too. I wonder why. This is all signs of a very healthy economy. You know how 2 years ago it was all crypto and now it's just all sports gambling stuff? This is the American economy is just going crazy right now. It's so good. It's never been better. I don't know what all this complaining is. I don't know what all this complaining about rent and housing and groceries and cost of living and inflation. Look how great it is. Look how great the economy is. Then look at the lines. Look at the lines. They're all going like this. They're all going in this direction. That's what we want. Our beautiful lines, they're all going up. Don't talk to me about groceries. Where do they end? That's the beauty. That's the beautiful thing. They just go up forever. The lines just keep going up forever, and things just get better and better and better. That's the beautiful thing about capitalism. We love it. You know? It's great. Speaking of lines going up, does anyone else want to support this program by subscribing? I'm at 6 out of 35 subs now. We got to make this line go up as well. We have the best lines, folks. You wouldn't even believe it. America's like Albania in the 90s. Everything's just a Ponzi scheme. But not this. That's the important thing, Risk First. Not this. Not this show. This is real. This is the line going up, and we want it to go up. I have a line of 1.5 flubs for Rob's stream if anyone's interested. I would probably bet the over. See, that would affect me. I would bet the over, and it would obviously impact my own performance. I'd be like, hey, let's chat about this Bortz spedding. Oh, what? Oh, I messed up again. Damn it. You know? It would necessarily impact me. The economy is great. Poor people are just too dumb to see how great it is. Exactly. Do you know how many different flavors of breakfast cereal you can get at Walmart? Like, so many, dude. What are you complaining about? Everyone's got a flat screen TV. I love when people say that as well. All these people complaining about being poor, complaining about not getting housing, complaining about groceries. They got flat screen TVs. It's like, those are the only kind of TVs that they make. Those are the only kind of TVs you can't go get like a big box TV anymore. They don't exist. They're all flat now. That's what people always say though. They're getting flat screen TVs. That's why they can't get groceries. Too busy getting flat screen TVs.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Thank you, Baldwin's Ghost, for the 300 bits. Thank you for using the computer to mark up the size of my account. I appreciate it, Baldwin. Thank you. Yeah, it was color TVs in the past. It's just the talking point changed a little. That old Fox News graphic said 99.6% of poor people have a refrigerator. Yeah, congratulations, everybody. You have so many choices of cereal to buy instead of normal food you can no longer afford. Exactly, because now you have your breakfast cereal, your lunch cereal, and your dinner cereal. You have all different kinds now to cover different meals. Everything's woke. Everything that I don't like is woke. Yeah, at Maple Takes, that's kind of what I was referencing. Yeah. The cereal guy talking how the bad economy was good. Yeah, because now you're just people eating cereal all the time. And hey, every week you can swap out what cereal you eat. It's a good plan. You know what cereal, speaking of cereal, you know what cereal that I used to love when I was a kid that they don't make anymore? The Rice Krispie Treats cereal. With like the Rice Krispies and like the little clumps of marshmallow. God damn, that was good cereal. Remember that? Do they still make that? I for sure can't get it in Canada. I have not seen that since the 90s. I never see that when I'm at the grocery store. Yeah, it was a standalone cereal. Rice Krispie Treat cereal. Phenomenal. Oh yeah, this is the stuff. No, I've not seen this since the 90s. It's so good. I never really eat cereal, but I would probably get some of this for a little treat sometimes if it was still available. You know what I would do when I was a kid too? Like this, I would get really crazy, and you would get that like the powder, like the chocolate powder for like chocolate milk or hot chocolate, or whatever. Sprinkle some of that on there. Sprinkle some of that on the Rice Krispie Treat cereal. Tremendous. Tremendous. Cinnamon Toast Crunch also goated. See, I never really had it. Like I've never really been that big of a cereal eater overall. I never eat cereal now. But I would get this. Oh shit. They were going really into the nostalgia zone.
Cereal time, cereal time, cereal time.
What's up, cereal heads? Today we're going to talk about.
Okay, I thought this was an actual ad. I didn't know this was just this guy's like cereal YouTube channel.
The cereal.
Rice Krispie Treat cereal? I love it. Yeah, me too.
When you eat this cereal, proceed carefully. Because one taste is never enough. You'll want to move fast to get it.
You hear something?
Because now you can make that marshmallowy taste of crispy clusters part of this complete breakfast.
So the cereal is basically Rice Krispies clumped together.
Yeah, we get it, buddy. We get the idea. We actually don't need you to explain that to us. Pouring milk out of a porcelain cow's mouth is slightly perverse. It is. It kind of looked like it was barfing up the milk. Now I'm kind of craving some of that. The cow got the sugar dopamine hit and lost his mind. That would be like one of those things if you gave it to like early humans. If you went to like 17th century France and gave it to some like serf. Their brains wouldn't be able to comprehend. Some peasant. Their brains just wouldn't be able to comprehend it at all. Y'all got to be adding a scoop of peanut butter to the cereal. That's very good as well. Yeah. I would say it depends on the cereal. I do enjoy peanut butter. I don't know if it would go with absolutely everything. Give a Victorian child a Monster Energy drink. You could just blow people's minds. I'm really kind of craving that Rice Krispie Treat cereal now. We do love our treats. It's true. It's absolutely true. And folks, does anyone else want to support TRRS by subscribing? I'm at 6 out of 35 subs. Does anyone else? Is there any more fine folks or brave heroes that want to support this program by subscribing? It's been a not a super successful call to action today. Do any other fine folks, brave heroes, want to support this program? Before we move on to talking about something else.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Ratatoska the Silent, thanks for the 5 months tier 1. I appreciate it. Ratatoska the Silent. They come in, they don't say much. They
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
We love it. Sam, thank you for the gifted sub as well. I appreciate that, Sam. Thank you for that. Apparently the treat cereal was discontinued. I found a change.org petition from 2019 trying to bring it back. I feel like it's got to be, it's a no-brainer to bring it back. You got the nostalgia factor, and honestly, it's just delicious. You should boycott Kellogg's cereal. They originally made cornflakes to attack your gooning lifestyle. I use it to fuel the goon. I use it for the opposite of its original intended purpose. You rely on your support of TRRS so we can count on having good old Rob to talk you through all this. That's right. That's right. Or if people, if anyone extremely generous chatters gift 10 subs or above, you hear a wonderful...
Wow. Okay, Rob. Seriously, wow.
Hi.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Oh my goodness, I was just saying that. I was just talking about that. Oh my goodness, Crackety Kraken, thank you so much for the 10 gifted subs. That's very, very kind of you. Thank you for that. I really, really appreciate the support. That couldn't have timed that better. It was a clogged pipe situation again, of course. It happens. It's because of our crumbling infrastructure. Because of wokeness and DEI. The internet pipes get clogged up when people are trying to subscribe to Twitch channels because of Joe Brandon's open borders policies. And thank you, Bonsai Prince Buddy, for the 26 months of Tier 1 as well. Thank you, Bonsai Prince. That was fantastic. We're also one sub away from a hype train kicking off as well. Trans bridge build. That was insane. People, god damn. Series of tubes. Ugh. Folks, we're one measly sub away from a hype train kicking off. And then I can move on. I can just move on from talking about this. I'm actually going to get something to drink soon, because I'm quite thirsty. If another person subscribes, I'll go get a beverage. Do you want me to be hydrated or what? If no one else subscribes, I'm just going to sit here and suffer and not hydrate. Is that what you want, chat? You want me to just not drink water? Really? Wow. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Crystal, thank you very much for the gifted sub. Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate that. Now I'm going to get a drink of water because of Crystal's generosity and Crackety Kraken and Bonsai Prince Buddy.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
And Ratatas
Drinking a raspberry acai AHA right now. Oh boy, is it refreshing. Would hate for anyone to not be this refreshed.
Joe, thank you for the 500 bits. You know what? I think I'm going to have one of those right now at this exact time. I think I'm going to have one as well. Thank you, everyone, for supporting the show and allowing me to get a beverage. And now, folks, we're 96% of the way through level 3 of this hype train. 96%. The stream is in a stable period. Rehydrate. It's funny because I was going to talk about the 3-body problem as well. Oh, that's nice. One more beverage, and the beverage line hits. Oh, that's good stuff. For some reason, I've really been enjoying drinking my beverages out of wine glasses lately. I don't know why. I really don't know why. It's just there's something really satisfying to me about it. Oh, that's good. That is great stuff. That is fucking fantastic. Pétillant. I guess it's sparkling in French. Like normally I would call this eau gazifiée. I don't think I've ever used the word pétillant before. A friend of mine was telling me he couldn't get through the first episode of the American 3-Body Problem Now show because it was too American compared to the books. Yeah, I mean, I understand. Like you're adapting it for Western audiences, so I think part of that is understandable. China does still play a central role in it, and like I said, I think the sort of depictions of the Cultural Revolution in like 60s and 70s China is like very heavy-handed, and I find very kind of like turned me off of enjoying it that much. But we can talk about this. We can talk about it in one more minute, folks, because in the one more minute, that's when there's this hype train. We got 150 seconds left, 96% of the way through level 3. One more sub would get us over to level 4, and then not only do you support this program, but you also get access to the Twitch hype train emotes. So multiple benefits right now. You not only get all the tiny images associated with this program, you get even more extra special exclusive tiny images from Twitch. Clowny Smiles is looking for a sub. Can we do this? Okay, I guess not. Whatever, who cares? Who even cares, right? Not me. So let's actually talk about this three-body problem stuff, because like I did watch more of it last night. It's the kind of thing I'm now like, I think I'm either 2 episodes from getting to the end of the season 1, or I'm 1 episode. I'm like right at the, I've watched almost the whole thing now, and I don't even really know if I like it. Like, this is the kind of thing. I don't love it. There's some interesting stuff in there. There's some interesting ideas. There's some interesting sci-fi stuff. I don't love it though. No, I'm watching the Netflix version. And I'll just show how, like, this is what people are saying. Like, people are taking back how anti-communist I am. This is what happened to my family. This is the opening scene in this three-body problem. And I think it's actually funny because I saw people in this thread talking about how, like, China, there's no free speech. They're really perplexed by the fact that, like, this show that has this really, like, negative depiction of the Cultural Revolution.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
People are really confused. Crackety Kraken, thank you for another gifted sub. That's really kind of you. I think that was just to take the lead on Diego for the monthly supporters. I was unsure if things like this scene ever happened as depicted. I mean, yeah, we can talk about that, but I just think there's something funny about this. Someone points this out. This is why I'm so anti-communist. This is what happened to my family, talking about the Cultural Revolution and the depiction of the Cultural Revolution in this show. And then you have all these people talking about, I'm Cuban. I bet this person's from fucking Miami. I guarantee this person is from Miami. I was born in the USSR. We can't forget the past. All these people. And then these people get very confused. They say, shockingly, the author of Three Body Problem is very pro-CCP, something I've never understood given that he wrote this scene. And the opening scene in the novel plays out in this exact same way. And this is an amazing exchange here that I saw. This person says, imagine an American writing a book depicting the violence of Jim Crow and being very pro-US. And the guy says, what's your point? China does not tolerate free speech and protest while America does. It's like, well, sir, it kind of seems like your judgment of China's ability to tolerate free speech is kind of challenged by the fact that this book was written by a Chinese author in China and it became a popular piece of Chinese pop culture despite having this depiction of the Cultural Revolution in it. It almost like they do tolerate free speech and protest. Like, you know what I mean? They don't tolerate free speech in this adaptation of a Chinese novel, in this like Chinese science fiction story by a Chinese author. They don't tolerate that though. But it's like, well, I kind of think they do. Her free speech doomed humanity. Well, that's part of it, Dave, is that like I get turned off by this sort of like that kind of message. There's very heavy-handed criticism of like revolutionary China or Maoist China. That's inherent to this story. But it's also, you do see the woman that's at the center of that, like, act like a total fucking fanatic as a result of her experiences. But here's the scene in question. Like, we can watch this. And if you're worried about this being a spoiler, it's like, it's not, this is the very first scene. This is the opening scene in the novel, which again was written by a Chinese person. This is the opening scene, and it's the opening scene in this Netflix adaptation. And I was really not sure whether I was going to continue watching it after watching this. Here it is, though. Just Destiny crying at this right now. Have you watched this on stream, China's Cultural Revolution, the full story? I should check that out because we haven't watched that. I'm sure it would be very interesting. It's definitely something that I would like to learn more about. But I mean, like I was saying, this gets to this whole idea that there's no dissent or no discussion of this that's allowed in China. And there is. China openly acknowledges that the Cultural Revolution, that bad things happen, and that in many ways it went way overboard. I don't know if this specific incident of physics professors being beaten to death for teaching the Big Bang Theory, I don't know how accurate that is. But I think they openly acknowledge, though, that there were excesses and that bad things happened. I think that's one of the interesting thing about China's relationship with Mao now, which is that they don't hold him up like he's some infallible godlike figure. They recognize that he was just a human being. He contributed a lot of amazing things, and he also made mistakes. I think that's the very nuanced way that they look back at someone like Mao today. And that's why I think you can see these scenes existing in shows like this written by Chinese authors, and popular and successful in China. But yeah, I after this I was like, oh man, this is so heavy-handed, and it's impossible to watch this and not take away the Chinese Revolution was bad. I mean, that's regardless. There's no nuance in that, right? There's no nuance of bad things happen, but also good things happen. You can't watch this as a Westerner with no real understanding or knowledge of Chinese history or the Chinese Revolution and not take away revolution bad. So that's, I think, makes it hard to watch on one hand. I do think it's a little bit more nuanced as it continues about that. Yeah, some of these student groups are out of control. I think there's widespread acknowledgement of that. And like I was saying yesterday when this came up, it's you look around our own society in Canada or the United States and really think through the idea that we could have some kind of socialist revolution without trying to attack this problem of the fact that there's this deeply reactionary, individualistic, capitalist mindset that's been totally imprinted on large portions of our population, and that there would need to be some kind of effort made to get people on board with a totally new way of thinking and a totally new political program. The idea that you could just have a socialist revolution and just people would just be like, oh, okay, good, we're doing this now, that's fine. You would have to have something like this. And that's the question about the Cultural Revolution. It's not about whether Mao is some infallible figure who never made mistakes, or acknowledging that excesses happened or that bad things happened. But the question is, though, is there modern China today without the Cultural Revolution? I think that's an important question to ask. It doesn't mean that it's perfect, but what does that mean in the terms that overall, you can look at the overall trajectory of China from the revolution in 49 onwards, and it's been a hugely important factor that has led to this huge amounts of progress, development, increases in people's living standards, decreases in poverty, decreases in illiteracy. It's had this hugely positive, progressive, transformative effect. It doesn't mean that it's easy. It doesn't mean it's perfect or that it's easy. There were famines that happened during this period. There were excesses that happened. But is there a modern China to this day without Mao and even with all the imperfections and the contradictions and the mistakes that happened? 1776 is the only revolution I know. Well, it's funny actually because I was on TikTok and I saw a clip of the debate with Charlie Kirk and our friend Benny, and the idea that you can talk about Mao and someone like Charlie Kirk is just like, oh, even when Mao personally murdered 20 million people, you know, and all the progress gets eliminated from that. And it's just a purely, you have Mao just personally, deliberately murdering 20 million people, which is not accurate. Not to say that people didn't die, but that's not an accurate way of framing anything about Mao or the Chinese Revolution. And from an American, if the excesses of the Cultural Revolution or famines that happened during the Chinese Revolution discredits everything about socialism, everything about revolutionary China, but the fucking transatlantic slave trade and the mass genocide of indigenous peoples, that's totally okay, though. That's totally fine. Do you think there was any violence inherent to that? Do you think any people were killed in that process? The 300 years of the transatlantic slave trade? The mass genocide of the indigenous people in Central and South America and North America? Do you think maybe that might have involved a few deaths as well? I finished this last night. It got a little silly. Still watch season 2 though. Are you watching the Netflix one or the 27 Club or the 10 Cent one? I have like 2 episodes to go in the Netflix one. Yeah. No, I don't love it, but I'm going to watch the rest of it. But I think that's the question. Like, it's absolutely amazing for an American to talk about Mao and talk about the Chinese Revolution and be like, 20 million people were murdered. When it's like, what was the average lifespan in China in 1948? What was it, like 36? Something like that? Or the number of people that were completely illiterate, the number of people that were living in total poverty, these rural people just living in just absolute poverty. So it's not saying that it's perfect or that bad things didn't happen, but like overall, the arc is there, that it's this hugely progressive, transformative thing. And these mistakes and contradictions were part of it. Even in the Cultural Revolution, there were good things that happened, even if there were excesses as well. During the Cultural Revolution, literacy was a big part of that. There was a huge increase in literacy, especially for rural people. Yeah, as an American, I think China should have been split by the Japanese occupation force and Chiang Kai-shek. I'm sure that would have been great. That would have been a way better situation for the average person in China. You know? That would have been way better. It's just weird to invite an alien invasion to get back at Mao. I mean, I think that is kind of weird, yeah. I think that is a little weird to do. And you see the revolutionary change in thinking didn't affect her because she still had this very individualistic view of it. Let's destroy not only our revolution, but all of humanity because my personal feelings were hurt, because my father was targeted and killed in this process. And I'm the only person that matters. They should have gotten to her earlier. This is not really a spoiler. I mean, this is like the basic plot of the show that's revealed in the first couple of episodes. I mean, the spoiler, if you could get into specific things with like the characters, especially in like the modern era and stuff. I think what I'm describing right now is just the basic premise of this show. It's this woman that was like so disillusioned by what happened during the Cultural Revolution that she, as a physicist, makes contact with this alien race and basically invites them to come to Earth because she's so disillusioned and thinks that like humanity isn't capable of like managing itself. Why not give America a peace as well while you're at it? Well, that's the thing. If it was Chiang Kai-shek, then America would have had a peace, which is exactly what all the anti-China propaganda comes from. But it goes back from this depiction to that clip that I saw of Charlie Kirk. Oh, you like Mao? He murdered 20 million people. This guy, he loves America. He waves around an American flag. Oh, Mao killed 20 million people. Can you believe this? This discredits every single thing about China. You can never say one positive thing about the Chinese Revolution. An American saying this. Like, give me a fucking break. And all of these, like, Turning Point USA, Daily Wire people, they all downplay the genocide of indigenous peoples. And they're basically, well, they deserved it. They were like barbarians and they were all killing each other anyways. So they basically deserved it. Just searched cancel culture in this clip of this top result. I mean, that's ultimately, like, you can see, no matter, even though this does come from a Chinese author, from a popular Chinese novel that was also adapted in China, you see this is being used basically as anti-communist and xenophobic propaganda. So it's like, it's a little perplexing, this kind of contradiction. The snap of his fingers, exactly. Mao's like Thanos, just snapped his fingers. 20 million people gone. And like we've talked about many times before, at the time of the revolution, you have China, millions living in poverty. 20 million people had died already from World War II, from fighting the Japanese. This like deeply impoverished, semi-feudal, semi-colonized society. This is the like clay that they had to work with to build this revolution with. And, you know, overall, again, you look at the trajectory from 1949 to today, overall, pretty good. You know, they did pretty good. You can't really, you know, you can point to excesses that happened or bad things that happened, but it's like, damn, like, they're doing pretty well now. We're going to criticize that. Our like decaying society, our collapsing like Western values, our whole culture is just swirling the fucking toilet. And we're going to look at China and be like, no, we did it wrong. You did a bad job. Like, no, they did pretty good, I think. That's why I don't really understand the Western Maoists that take this like anti-Deng stance. You know, these people that are like obsessed. He's Deng Xiaoping. He's like a counter-revolutionary. He's a capitalist, imperialist, whatever. When it's just like you can imagine Mao looking at China today and being like, damn, like this is like pretty good. This is pretty good stuff. Yeah, no, I think you're right about the timing of that and the Cultural Revolution and the Great Leap
use
Forward.
The computer to mark up the size
I guess I
of
was
the
just
account.
talking overall about these.
Direct quote from the governor of the Colorado Territory, John Evans. The object of this is to prevent friendly Indians from being killed through mistake. The war on hostile Indians will be continued until they are all effectually subdued. Sound familiar to something happening today?
Yeah, thank you, Joe, for the 200 bits as well. But no, you're right. You're right, Baldwin, about the famine and the Great Leap Forward. Yeah, I guess I was just talking about these like Mao era policies that are attributed to him predominantly. It's okay, Joe. But yeah, no, it's amazing that like you have Americans talking about violence that happened in either China or the Soviet Union. Oh, Stalin. Americans complaining about Stalinism. Or Lenin. Oh, people died. You don't know that people died? There was all kinds of these problems. People were being killed. Like, yeah, it's a revolution. Like, what? You know? Yeah, people died. Yes.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Diego, thanks for another gifted sub. You never hear the U.S. criticizing their own past. You know, U.S. has done pretty bad things. How many deaths has the U.S. empire caused? Yeah, and when you do put out like art or novels or films or TV shows that depict Jim Crow or slavery or the genocide of indigenous peoples, these people are like, that's woke. It's woke to talk about that. It's woke to talk about bad things that happened in our past. That's wokeness, you know? Like, it's actually a healthy thing to go and look back at things that happened in your society, even though, like, they still celebrate Mao. They still celebrate the revolution. But they're also like, yeah, and also some bad things happened, you know? That's that famous Deng Xiaoping quote about Mao. What did he say? It's like 60% good, 40% bad, you know? That's actually a pretty, like, nuanced way of looking at your past and acknowledging that bad things happened while also still not throwing those individuals under the bus in the same way that the USSR did after Stalin's death. No coincidence that Stalin and Mao were both in charge during horrific invasions. Yeah, and these incredibly fraught historical moments where it's like you're trying to protect these revolutionary gains against these really powerful outside imperialist forces that are trying to take that away. And how do you protect those revolutionary gains? Do you do it by being Mr. Nice Guy? You know? Or you do that by being nice to everybody? Well, no. People get so hung up over the industrialization of the Soviet Union and never give a shit that they learned it from us, for God's sake. Well, and they industrialized in a fraction of the time. You know? Like, that's an amazing accomplishment. And it literally protected the entire world from the Nazi menace. The fact that the USSR industrialized as quickly as it did. Not only is it an incredible historic accomplishment, was also completely necessary for the defense of the Soviet Union against Nazis and against fascism. Being Mr. Nice Guy worked fairly well for Allende until it most definitely didn't. Exactly. And like there's been stories about this. About Allende talking to Castro and Castro saying, like, you got to arm the people. You know, you got to be ready. And Allende say, like, no, we don't want to do it like that. We want to do it differently. And the same thing with, was it Sukarno in Indonesia? And Mao said to Sukarno, you got to arm the people. You got to be ready. And they weren't. And they got overthrown and destabilized and destroyed. I think they both did great. Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's not about saying anyone's perfect or anyone's infallible, but it's like considering the circumstances and considering the end result. It's like, I'm not going to sit here from the vantage point of 2024 in my deeply racist, reactionary, genocidal settler colony and be like, no, it's not socialist enough. They did socialism wrong. Like, that's the ultimate chauvinist mentality. If only I would have been there, I would have done things different. You know? You see the tweet of most Nazis saying their enemies were communists. I did see that, Baldwin, and it's actually an amazing thing. This guy's a professor. And he's just learning now that Nazis, their primary enemies were socialists. And this guy's a literal professor. And he's like, what? 63% of Nazi militants said their main enemy were communists and socialists. This guy just can't believe that. Matt McManus, a poli-sci lecturer at University of Michigan. He's just figuring this out. I can't believe this. What? This guy says, why do you think it's astonishing? He says, I'd have thought the proportion motivated primarily by anti-Semitism would be far higher, which is exactly what the Judeo-Bolshevik conspiracy was about. It was anti-Semitic because they were blaming the Jews for creating socialism in the first place. Like, what do you? How do you not know this? Or that fucking poem. Everyone knows that poem. First, they came for the socialists. You know, it's right there. It says it right there. Like, everyone knows this poem and no one internalizes like what it actually means. It's literally couldn't be more clear. These are the people that are teaching kids, and the people, again, right wingers say it's like, oh, this is like wokeness that's ruining our education system. But it's because anti-communism is so deeply ingrained in every single institution that professors of political science don't understand basic fucking facts about fascism. The Nazi communist McBain movie, for sure. Yeah. Once again, The Simpsons absolutely nailed that. Anyway, I guess that's one of the things I've had a real problem with this series, of this depiction of the Cultural Revolution and everything. Even though I kind of like, I get that you can have this criticism of it, but just see how people are interpreting it in the West. Our Western minds can only comprehend this as being like China bad, revolution bad. That's like a main aspect of this show, which again, like I was saying, totally disproves this idea that in China you can't have these kind of nuanced discussions, or you can't have this criticism of the past. I think there's more room for that. Like we were saying, there's more room for that in China than there is in Canada or the United States, to have this critical view of things that happened in the past, even things that you still continue to celebrate. Mark Wahlberg's, if only I were on the plane on 9/11, that shit would have went down different. But with the Cultural Revolution, exactly. I can't help but laugh at these like Westerners that take this attitude about like either China or the USSR. I would have done a way better job. Me. I can't even go to the grocery store because of my ADHD, but yeah, I would have done a better job transforming this society of over 1 billion people into this like industrial revolutionary society. I would have done a better job. I don't think he would have. Anyway, I am still going to continue watching the show. I'm going to watch the end of it. I don't love it. There's things in it that I find this shit I find really heavy-handed. I know it's part of the book and it's part of the story. I don't love it, but now I'm at least I've invested enough time that I might as well just watch the last couple of episodes. Also, isn't this the end of the scene with the moment they realized they went too far and had remorse? Yeah, that's right. You can see it in this part right. This contrasts China with India, similar levels of development and comparable populations at the time of revolution. Life expectancy started to diverge and rise almost immediately in China, and which nation has more hunger, illiteracy, extreme poverty, etc. today. Yeah, which is funny because I saw a tweet the other day that literally made the exact opposite point of what you're saying. I was like amazed. Let me see if I can find. Look at Look at this. Oh, yeah, it's fucking no opinion. This guy really does have some of the worst takes. He really does. This is one of the dumbest people. Like literally, like look at this. The whole thing you're talking about with India and China. This guy, no opinion, makes the exact opposite point. He says India has accomplished something China never managed to do, reducing poverty by huge amounts while also decreasing inequality. Maybe democracy isn't so bad for development after all. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this guy talking about? You know, like these are the people. These are the people that are we've entrusted to explain things. You can't convince me that this guy is for real. Sometimes I don't know either. Sometimes he just seems to be deliberately saying the dumbest and most asinine things imaginable. We got real brain genius hours over here. That's right. Literally making the exact opposite point of what we were just saying. Trying to there's another like really kind of silly scene about this. I was talking about it yesterday. When it's like they're talking about this physics problem and talking about using the sun to enhance some kind of like message that they're sending. And this guy freaks out at them being like, the people view Mao as being the sun. And he like shuts them down. I can find. I don't know if I can. Wait, what was going on with like the? This would be a spoiler, so I don't want to get into it. But there's this whole segment with like this like invisible nanotech wire. And it just seemed like the least efficient way to go about deal with the problem that they're trying to do. It seemed like a really weird way of like doing this with this boat. No, that's what I'm talking about. With the boat. I don't want to spoil it. I'm trying not to spoil it. But I was like, couldn't you just like fucking, we have bombs and stuff. No, why are we doing this? They didn't want to destroy the drive. Okay. I guess. I have a hard time rooting for the people that do that. Like in that thing. I think that's part of my whole problem with the show as well, is that I don't really, the actual like protagonists, I'm not really like super taken with them. I almost kind of want the Shang-Chi to come and fuck us up. It's all covered in the book? Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be reading it though. I just don't know. The video, no, this is from the Netflix version. This is from the opening scene of the Netflix version. It's this very heavy-handed depiction of the Cultural Revolution of this physics professor being beaten. And that's what I would like to know, seriously, because like I know there were excesses in the Cultural Revolution, these like out of control student groups. Were they really like beating physics professors for teaching the Big Bang Theory? Like, is that a real thing that happened? I don't know. Again, we can acknowledge that there were excesses, definitely. Yeah. It's true. I think I'm team alien as well. They did kill people just for their jobs, but a short time before that, Americans were killing people for skin color. So, well, I mean, at the same time, literally at the same time, that was still going on. That's why, like I said, I find it very funny to see these like reactionary Americans like Charlie Kirk talking about Mao as if he's one of history's greatest monsters, while totally ignoring the centuries, the legacy of brutal violence and slavery and genocide that created America. And they think famines or whatever that happened in China under Mao, or things that happened during the Cultural Revolution, it just discredits the entirety of like that political or economic viewpoint. There was a documentary on Amazon about China's one-child policy. It was basically China one-child policy was genocide for 1.5 hours. But essentially the woman's grandparents were shitty people who abandoned their child because she was a girl. Well, and there's a criticism to be made there. It's like, on the one hand, it's a country of like over 1 billion people. And if you're trying to make sure you're able to feed everyone, you need to like somehow try and control the population. There's an element of that. Obviously, I think putting down that kind of a policy is going to lead to all kinds of other issues and problems, and lead to all kinds of like horrible things happening. But like, there's a criticism to be made there, but you can also kind of understand why these decisions had to be taken in the first place. But you see, the color red is scary to them. Anyway, I guess I thought it was quite funny, this whole idea that like they found it some like contradiction. They think it's a contradiction that this Chinese author who likes the CCP or the CPC would write a scene that depicts that has like a criticism of Maoism or the Cultural Revolution, and they can't wrap their minds around this. And then saying China does not tolerate free speech while talking about a series written by a Chinese person that became popular in China, which does have this criticism of these revolutionary policies. The Western mind just can't comprehend. Anyway, that's the 3-body problem. That's all the discourse I wanted to do. I'll probably finish it up tonight. Like I said, I'm supposed to go. Well, I do. I'm going to go see it. I'm going to go see Dune at like 9:55. So we're going to see if I make it. So I said, clearly they do tolerate it, seeing as this book was written by a Chinese author and became popular in China. He says, yeah, I mean, it's a great novel, and I'm glad he was able to publish it and see it succeed, which undercuts your entire point. In all, the book isn't about the Cultural Revolution, so I assume that's why it's given a pass for including this scene. I mean, it is about it, though. It's not, quote, clear, however, that they tolerate free speech as the show is banned in China and Chinese moderators regularly censor and delete discussions about these struggle sessions from online forums like Weibo. Like, is that true? I don't think that's true. And is the show is not banned in China? Like, that's not true. The Netflix version is, but is that because Netflix itself is banned and they do have their own series? They did their own series of it. And the book was popular in China. Like, what the fuck? And Chinese moderators regularly censor and delete discussions about these struggle sessions from online forums like Weibo. Like, first of all, we don't know if that's true. This guy's just saying that. Evidence free. We have no idea whether that's actually true. And I just don't, like, I think they do, like I said, they've talked openly about the Cultural Revolution and bad things that happen. Like, this is a widespread, this is acknowledged in modern China. Xi's father was a victim of the Cultural Revolution. Yeah, we've talked before about like Tibet as well, like how the Chinese Revolution, when it came to Tibet, was led by Tibetan communists, some of whom were also ended up being imprisoned during this period. You know, like there's plenty of things to criticize about it, and I think that criticism does happen. Or you talk about Xi's father as well. This idea that this criticism is just not allowed, I don't think that's accurate. That guy's about me says, I love reading, but not with my eyes. Oh, good. Okay. It's just tedious when Westerners making these accusations toward China while authoritarianism is accelerating at home. Yeah, well, it's like Hollywood code. It's that whole question of like democracy. Oh, they don't have democracy. They're not like here. Meanwhile, you have the state, a one-party state, where every single like member of the party is like advocating for their constituents, and this one-party state is doing these like engaging in these huge programs, building infrastructure and rail and like alleviating poverty and all this stuff that actually meaningfully impacts people's lives. But that's not democratic. But our system, where we can vote for different wings of the capitalist party and we get nothing except decline, and we just get no positive benefit to that. We have these governments that are totally gridlocked and are completely captured by these like powerful economic conglomerates. And we have no actual say in like what our politicians are actually doing. But that's democratic. But what they have is not democratic. You know? Like, we live in an authoritarian dictatorship. It's called the dictatorship of the bourgeoisie, the dictatorship of capital. And like I said, it's also, it's extremely hypocritical to criticize the deaths that happened as part of that revolutionary process, and using that to discount the entire idea of like socialism or the entire idea of revolution. Meanwhile, our entire society is built on this mass graveyard from the transatlantic slave trade and the genocide of indigenous peoples. And somehow that doesn't discredit our economic system or our culture in any way. We will never do to Mao Zedong what Khrushchev did to Stalin. Yeah, and I love that attitude. I really do. We're never going to throw him under the bus. We love him. He's our guy. We love Mao. We're not going to sit here and pretend that he was a god or that he did everything perfectly or that mistakes didn't happen. But we're also not going to heap garbage on his grave the way that Khrushchev did to Stalin. I like the terms liberal oligarchy for the West versus closed democracy for China, Cuba. It's more accurate. That's an interesting way of phrasing it, yeah. I like that. Here we have right-wing parties that either idolize American capitalism or German fascism, and then we have some center parties that is like American liberal light, and then further left parties. Yeah, and most of these people in the like liberal left are going to be more than happy to work with
You can
the
count
right
on me.
to
You're gonna have
crush
good old
socialism.
Rob to talk you through all this.
Joseph Stalin 45 says this is a good series on Netflix. I've watched it. I don't love it. It's not perfect. There's some interesting stuff in there, some interesting ideas, some interesting visual elements. I would recommend checking it out. But I do find the anti-cultural revolution stuff extremely heavy-handed and hard to get past. Plunger Man, thanks for the gifted sub. Thank you, Plunger Man. Sorry, Lucid Fox just sent me this. Yeah, it's quite anti-Mao, I would say. Which I didn't love. Lucid Fox just sent me this tweet from Francis Wolf. The Key Bridge collapse is going to have staggering effects for DoorDash users. Without efficient and rapid treat delivery, many ADHD-afflicted Baltimoreans are at risk of starvation and death. Sad day. It's a sad day. Before DoorDash, again, no one with ADHD. They were all just collapsing in the streets. We all remember the shocking images before the treat apps were invented. All seen it in the history books. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Kira V. Like, I fully acknowledge, and I think anyone fully acknowledges that there's people that are disabled that need these services. And like I'm saying, that we need to take care of the workers that are part of these services better. I do think a lot of the most vocal people about this, though, are actually kind of using disabled people as a shield to protect themselves from criticism for using these kinds of apps. But not to get too, we already did this discourse, so we don't need to get back into it. We don't need to relitigate it. Big stretchy. Oh, okay. Big stretch. So I'm here for about another 30 minutes. I don't know how much more we can talk about in that time. I did want to talk about more Palestine stuff. Not giving myself a huge amount of time to get into it. It did seem like there was a retaliation last night against the UN resolution. There's this whole thing about but not the US. It's so cowardly. They abstain on this vote rather than vetoing it, so it passes. So they go in this roundabout way. They support this resolution without supporting it. But then they're saying, oh, it's non-binding now. Oh, it's non-binding, which is like that. They're literally rewriting international law when they say that. Like the whole Security Council, it's supposed to be binding. That's the whole point. They're supposed to be able to now go after Israel for ignoring their ruling. This whole idea that it's non-binding, like what the fuck is that? Like they're just making that up. If Security Council decisions are not binding, what is the point of the UN? This is a great question. Oh, it's non-binding now. So it's truly amazing. It's like they do as little as possible. Rather than vetoing this resolution, they just abstain on it so it passes. But then they're saying, oh, but by the way, it doesn't even count. It doesn't count. It doesn't matter.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Majority Report, hello. Thank you for the raid, Majority Report. Welcome in, Raiders. Thank you for joining the stream. I'm Rob. It's nice to see you. Please smash the follow button if you can. Please smash the follow button if you can. Costs you nothing at all. It really helps me out for people to follow this channel. And also just look at me. This is nuts. This is someone you don't want to follow? Really? Are you fucking kidding me? You kidding me over here? Thank you. No, we were just talking about this UN resolution, which the US basically did as little as possible. So they, instead of vetoing it, they abstain. So they kind of support this resolution without supporting it. But then at the same time, they're saying, oh, it's non-binding. It's non-binding. The UN Security Council resolution is non-binding. And that's the question. What is the purpose of the UN? What is the purpose of the Security Council if all it can do is pass non-binding resolutions? They're supposed to be binding. That's the whole point. Also, they had their fingers crossed when they abstained. It's true. And here, let's hear from this fucking genocidal psycho.
Can you help us understand what the American position, what the alternative is? What would you have suggested to the Israelis?
Well, because I think we're going to still continue to try to have those conversations. I'm going to let those conversations happen before announcing it from the podium.
Can you tell?
I viscerally hate this guy.
Might happen. Are these through the regular channels?
I wish I could.
Or is there hope of talks happening?
I wish I could right now, but I mean, this decision just happened in the last couple of hours, so we're going to have to see where it goes.
And is there any circumstance that the U.S. would support?
Non-binding on U.S. and our allies. And in-group, the law protects and does not bind. Alongside out-groups, the law binds and does not protect. Really pertinent use of that.
A rough operation in the future.
Is the criticism of a future Fallout goal. Like I was like it makes me, he seems like a game show host in like a fake commercial in a Paul Verhoeven film, where he's like a game show host where there's like prisoners' lives at stake or whatever, based doing these kind of like war games or like greatest, the most dangerous game type Running Man style show. He looks like one of those guys. I'll buy that for $1 exactly.
Are you ruling it out entirely, or are you ruling it out?
We've been very clear. We don't believe that a major ground operation in Rafah is
You're
the
not
right
clear,
course of
though.
action, particularly when you have 1.5 million people there seeking refuge and no conceived plan, no verifiable plan to take care of them. We've been very consistent on that.
Thank you so much.
The thing is, it's not. Look at this man's face. God damn. I really hate him, seriously. But like, no, it's not consistent though. It's not consistent when you fund Israel and give them the money and the weapons to do this, and you fully support everything that they do. And then you say, oh, but this though, we're kind of against this. No, that's not consistent. It's a debate that they're pretending is a settled fact. This is a brand new thing. This whole non-binding Security Council resolution. This is a brand new thing that they just invented yesterday. They must teach you this face at Ghoul School so you don't accidentally smile. And then you gesture like this. We've been very clear about this. They were binding when the U.S. is vetoing them, exactly. It's really crazy, honestly. They just invented this whole idea of the non-binding Security Council resolution.
On the non-binding thing, the UN Secretary General said after the vote, this resolution must be implemented. You say it's non-binding, so who is right here? And if it's non-binding, if, as you say,
Let's
it does not change anything, why has the administration blocked so many pretty similar resolutions in the past?
Because they didn't condemn Hamas. I've said that repeatedly.
Doesn't condemn Hamas either.
Because they didn't condemn Hamas, and because they also just called for a ceasefire with no linkage to the hostages. This one, the reason why we can't support it but didn't veto it is because it does link hostages and a ceasefire, which is in keeping with our policy.
And on the binding thing, is it binding, non-binding?
It's a non-binding resolution.
It's a non-binding resolution, he says.
Binding resolution.
Binding, non-binding?
It's a non-binding resolution.
It's a non-binding resolution. And again, talking about condemning Hamas after over 30,000 people have been killed is psychotic. You're still talking about, oh, it didn't condemn Hamas. 30,000 people have been killed. And we know the number's higher. This is a conservative number. This is a low conservative estimate of what the number is. And still saying this must be linked to condemning Hamas. Like, why don't we condemn Israel, who have committed far more violence and terror than Hamas could ever hope to? Where are the condemnations of Israel? Where are the condemnations of the IDF? They're deliberately starving people. They're deliberately starving 2 million people right at this very moment. Where's the condemnation? Where's the resolutions that condemn that? Why aren't we condemning Israel? Why aren't we condemning the IDF? Is he lying about it being non-binding? Well, no, apparently it's just whatever the United States says. Like, this is specifically what the UN Security Council is supposed to be able to have the power to pass resolutions and force states to change their strategies and policies based on these resolutions. He's literally just making, it's Calvin Ball. He's literally just making this shit up. In fact, I think our friend Vijay Prashad had something about it. Who knows a little something about UN. If Israel violates the UN Security Council Resolution 2728, then according to Article 5 of the UN Charter, Israel must be suspended from the United Nations. If Israel persists in its violation, then according to Article 6, it must be expelled from the UN. This and America's and John Kirby in the United States are just like, no, it's non-binding. They just because they say it. And if they're able to just speak these kinds of things into an existence, then it's like it's just proving once and for all that the UN is just basically a de facto arm of U.S. foreign policy. We need to keep the pressure on. We're never going to feel like we're winning, or maybe watching them squirm to find a new rock to hide under is the only fun we can get. I mean, listen, I know, like, I know we can and should be cynical about these things, whether it's like the uncommitted campaign or this UN vote or Canada agreeing to stop sending arms to Israel. These are all minor victories, and no, it's not enough. And yes, we need to keep pushing, but it's like, I think they are victories though. Like there's a shift that's happening, and these fucking ghouls are being forced to take different positions, and they're totally scrambling because of the pressure that they're feeling right now. I don't care if the UN stops existing. I just want the US out of the UN. I mean, that's one of the things as well about the possibility of like institutions such as BRICS. Like if there could be a UN that was comprised of global South countries or formerly colonized countries that actually had the ability to implement decisions, that could be possibly a interesting outcome as well. Fucking John Kirby. Absolute psycho. Why does Breakthrough News get 53K views with their VJ Prashad clips? This is the real thing we need to be asking right now. I'm the real victim of all this. I think if you really break it down. Let me see. I'm just seeing if I had something else bookmarked. Here's another one of these psychotic State Department officials.
The abstention means that you're okay with it. You're willing to go along with it, and so what do you expect now to happen as a result of the passage of this resolution?
So I think.
Do you expect that Israel is going to announce a ceasefire?
I do not.
And that do you expect that Hamas is going to release hostages?
Okay, but you say all UN resolutions are technically non-binding. There are no enforcement methods for these resolutions. They equate to strong recommendations from the world nations, but there's still supposed to be consequences though. Like Israel is supposed to stop what they're doing because of this resolution, and there should be consequences, either being suspended or kicked out of the UN entirely. And even if that's just like some kind of symbolic victory, that's at least like an actual consequence.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things that we have objected to for some time is that most of the people that call for a ceasefire, we believe, are calling for Israel to unilaterally stop operations and not calling for Hamas to agree to a ceasefire where they would release hostages.
Well, I think it goes both ways, doesn't it?
It could, but but the resolution today is a non-binding resolution. But
okay, so what's the point?
Well,
why did you abstain? Why didn't you veto?
We didn't veto because we thought the language in it was consistent with something that the language as it relates to
they're just making this shit up.
And release of hostage was consistent with the long-standing United States position.
So you don't believe anything is going to happen as a result of the passage of this resolution?
So I think that separate and apart from this resolution, we have active, ongoing negotiations to try to achieve what this resolution calls for, which is an immediate ceasefire and the release of hostages. I can't say that this resolution is going to have any impact on those negotiations. But those negotiations are ongoing. They've been ongoing over the weekend, and they've made progress.
So I don't expect you to answer this now, but to me, you just stick this in your pocket. If that's the case, what the hell is the point of the UN, or the UN Security Council?
So we think it plays an important
amazing
role,
question.
It does, even though its action does absolutely nothing.
A range of
and that you're going to get what you would like to see, not out of the UN, but out of discussions in Doha.
So we believe it's important that the UN speak and the UN Security Council speak on matters of international security. It's why we've been engaged in this process. It's why we thought we were going to have a successful vote on Friday that Russia and China unfortunately and quite cynically vetoed.
They talking about cynically vetoing the fucking United States.
Achieve a ceasefire.
These
It
motherfuckers.
is going to come not through a UN process, but through the process with which we've been
Cynically
engaged. Yes,
vetoing. This piece of shit. God damn. Weasley fucking liar, dude. Weasley fucking liar, my dude. Here, want to see something insane? Meanwhile, this is what's going on in like Israeli TV. Look at this shit. But let's keep condemning Hamas, though. Oh yeah. No, this is fascist shit. Like this is like Hitler Youth stuff. I thought he was going to shoot the kid. He was probably, this is where he's thinking about it. He's like, is this kid Hamas in disguise? This is what he's thinking at the time. It's the main part of my job description is to shoot kids. So this is really going against my training right now. It's like 2 steps away from I'm doing my part in Starship Troopers. Absolutely. He's even got the Hitler Youth haircut. Yeah. Let me just see if I can find one final thing on this kind of similar subject. This is a kid in London. And I don't want to pick on a little kid, to be clear. Like I really don't. But I think it's like an alarming kind of trend. This is a kid in North London celebrating Purim by dressing up as an IDF guy and walking around with a pretend assault rifle. And I saw that there was a response from the police. They were like, "Oh, we understand why people would be concerned, but this is part of a celebration, and there's no real violation that's occurred here." And again, I don't want to pick on a little kid, but you just have to ask yourself what the other side of that would look like. You know, if there was a Muslim or an Arab kid dressing up as Hamas and carrying around an assault rifle, would that be seen as some innocent child's play thing that everyone would just look the other way or suggest that it was okay? I'm guessing no. You know, there's been black kids in the United States that have been murdered by the police for way less than this. Yeah, could you do that if you're an Irish kid in London? Like, to say nothing of like the Muslim or Arab contingent. Yeah, and in an area like it's anti-Semitic to call out clear Islamophobia. Like that's another thing, right? This is an area where like Muslims live and Arabs live. Like it's hard not to view that as being like an intimidation thing. Meanwhile, we have protests at like Indigo and Starbucks and on this neighborhood and this overpass, and all our political leaders are like, no, these are Jewish neighborhoods. These protests are happening in Jewish neighborhoods. This is a Jewish neighborhood Starbucks, you know? This overpass is in a Jewish neighborhood. And it's like there's all this condemnation of protests that are going on because Jewish people living in there. But then like when a little kid walks around with a fake assault rifle dressed as an Israeli IDF soldier in an Arab neighborhood, it's like, oh, it's just a little harmless fun. Certain MPs in UK Parliament wear IDF dog tags. There's a Brian Mast in the United States Congress who wore an IDF uniform. RFK Jr. about to announce what crank he's picking for his VP. He just took the podium. Well, and that's why I'm here to announce that it's me, Rob Rousseau. I'm the VP candidate. I'm here to announce. I've been trying to keep this under wraps for a while now. I'm trying to bring a positive. I'm from the positive crank community. It's me. It's the boring San Francisco woman. Okay, well, maybe it's that. I do have to get going soon, folks. I got to get going in about 10 minutes to pick up my kid from school. I'm a mere 12 subs away from the goal. A mere 12 subs away from the goal. 12 brave heroes could come through and help drag me across the finish line for today. So if you can, whether you're a community regular, if you're new to the stream, if you just joined me for the first time today, please subscribe if you can. As you may know, I must make this little number go up at the bottom of the screen every single day. You can subscribe to this program. You can support the work that I do here on Twitch. You can support the community. You can get all the very cool, tiny little images. You can get all the tiny little images, and you can join the base level of the friendship triangle system. That's Twitch's only two-dimensional triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down clout tiered reward system. Mask loves you. Thanks for the gifted sub. I very much appreciate that. And now a mere 11 subs away from the goal. One final call to action here. Doing okay on the viewers today. Do we have 10 now? 10, excuse me.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Support this program and get me across the finish line for today. Thank you, Kit Say Cat, for the tier 1 sub. Brand new community member. Thank you, Kit. Very kind of you. Thank you for that. I follow. Sorry I'm poor, but I'll put my cheeks out for you. That's not necessary. Not necessary at all. I appreciate that, tech guy, but unless I'm misinterpreting that. Maybe I am. But thank you, tech guy 420. Perhaps one of our kindly and generous supporters will gift a sub.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
And look at that. Mask loves you. Thank you for the gifted sub. Very, very kind of you. Now a measly 9 subs to go, folks. A measly 9 subs to go. I'm really, really trying to hit my targets each and every day right now. So if you can, please do subscribe. It's this little number. It's this little number. And believe me, I don't make the rules. Okay, this is just how Twitch works. I don't make the rules, but this little number's just got to go up every single day. It's just got to go up every single day. There's nothing I can do about it. Sorry that my country is sanctioned by the United States and I can't support you. You're the champion and the best. Thank you, Dima. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. And hello, Bogdan, as well. Only 9 subs to go, folks. Only 9 little measly subs to go. Based left-wing stream. Yes, it is. That it is. But the only way that this stream is able to stay on the air is through the incredible generosity of the TRRS community members. So please subscribe if you can. I got about another 8 minutes to go. Or let's call it, we got 9 subs, let's call it 9 minutes. Sub or Rob will unbase the stream. If people don't subscribe, I'm going to become a Biden bro. I'm going to be telling you to vote strategically. I'm going to tell you all kinds of stuff. None of it is good. We're going to watch MSNBC every day. I'm going to start lecturing people about the economy and telling you that it's good. What is my ideology? Well, it has something to do with this guy. Does this answer your question? This is my guy.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk.
He's the man for his time and place.
Sup, Rob? Hope you're having a good one.
Jules, thank you very, very much. I hope you're having a good one as well. Thanks for the 6 months, tier 1. I appreciate it. Our guy, that's right. And now only 8 subs to go, folks. Only 8 subs to go. That's 8 brave heroes, or it's even just one. Even just one extremely generous, brave, heroic individual could get us there.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old
Do you
Rob
do hype
to
trains
talk
to chat
through
like
all
disco
this.
mashups? I mean, I do like disco mashups, and we do hype trains, but our hype train already left the station
You're
for
gonna
today.
have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Sam, thank you for another gifted sub. Very, very kind of you, Sam. And thank you, Kit, as well. Very first gifted sub in the channel. Kit Say Cat. Very, very kind of you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Saw the video on Twitter where the person said Stalin had pretty privilege. Immediately logged off because I cherish my sanity. And young Stalin, he was hot. There's no denying that. There's no getting around that. And now only 6 subs to go, folks. Only 6 little subs to go. Surely we can do it. Surely we can get there. I'm positive that we can. And I got about another 5 minutes. And I can't leave. I'm not going to be able to leave. And my son's going to be waiting at school for me to pick him up, and he's going to be crying. And whose fault is that going to be, chat? Whose fault is that going to be? Do you want that on your conscience? I know I don't. I have a non-binding subscription. That's good. That's good. Chat likes it when little 8-year-old kids get left alone at school and cry. That's my understanding. To me that's messed up. Like, I'm sorry. To me that's messed up. I don't want to tell you how to live your life or anything like that, but You know? It's not for me. I'll tell you that much. I'm to dehydrate. Anyway, only 6 subs to go. I'm sure we can get there. I'm sure we can do it. He knows that episode too, Diego. When I am ever late to pick him up, he does bring that up. Even though the most he's ever had to wait before is like 5 minutes. We have any other takers? We got 6 little measly subs to go. Yeah, Tech Guy, we were just talking about the 3 body problem stuff because I've been watching it, so we had a little discussion about it earlier. I can wait just as long as you can.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Bleep Lord, thanks for the 100 bits. Thank you very much, Bleep Lord. I appreciate it. Thank you, Vargas, as well, for the 5 gifted subs. Vargas, thank you. Very, very kind of you, Vargas. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And now only 1 sub to go. Should be no problem. Should be no problem.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Bleep Lord. Heck yeah. Bleep Lord, thank you very much for the gifted sub. Very, very kind of you. Chat, we did it. We did it. Okay? This is our victory. We did this. I really appreciate that, Bleep Lord, and I really appreciate every single person that supports this program and tuned in today. Thank you so, so, so much. Thank you again, folks. I really do appreciate it a lot. Everyone that tunes into this show and supports the work that I do on here. It means a lot. I always get sentimental in these moments. It means a lot, though, that I get to do this show and come and hang out with you folks every day, and that there's people that are that tune into that and support the work that I do in here. I think that's absolutely fantastic. I think that's so cool. And I never stop appreciating that. I really don't. So thanks again for tuning in. I am going to go. I got to go walk to school. But I appreciate you, everyone. And I'll be back tomorrow. In fact, I think tomorrow, I got to confirm this later, but I think I'm going to be talking to Jeremy Appel tomorrow, who's a friend of mine, fantastic journalist. We're going to talk about his new book about Jason Kenney, former Alberta Premier Jason Kenney. Love talking to Jeremy. That's going to be great stuff, so stay tuned for that. That should be coming up tomorrow. I'll confirm later on this evening. But until tomorrow, I'll be back. Noon Eastern, 1 a.m. Pyongyang time. Until then, ciao.